Hello and welcome to another episode of Statford Bridge, Chelsea by the Numbers. We're going to talk Garnacho. And this transfer and whether we should do it and whether it's a good deal and what the whole thing looks like. So off the rip, I think the most interesting thing about Garnacho is the transfer itself. Fabrizio Romano has been tweeting about Garnacho what feels like every single day for 2 months. We have Garnacho in the gym, patiently waiting for his move to Chelsea. That was on like August 10th. We have Garnacho, or Chelsea are advancing in club-to-club talks for Alejandro Garnacho, deal underway. Excellent relationship between Barada and the Chelsea hierarchy. That was like August 16th. Maresca on the left side, we have Jamie and Terry George, so probably also need something there. That player will be on Alejandro Garnacho, says Fabrizio Romano. And then today, we get Chelsea and Man United locked in talks for Alejandro Garnacho's transfer. Chelsea confirmed their proposal worth £35 million, £40 million total package, waiting for United's green light. The deal will happen just a matter of time. Garnacho only wants Chelsea. Here we go soon. Now, what is weird about this is that Fabrizio Romano has like consistently just kept, this is the deal. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But all the other reporting, the non-Fabrizio Romano reporting, has been more or less locked in that United want 50 and Chelsea want to pay 30. And now there's a very nice number that sits in between those two numbers, and it looks like that's where this is going to end up. But he has been much more certain that this deal was going to get done than other people have been. It looks like it's going to. It is what it is. Now, what about Garnacho? What do we want to know? What do we care about? Well, you look at these radars or these plots, and it is very tempting to say, oh, he's not that good. Like, there's a lot of low categories in here, right? His assists are not that low. His shooting percentage is pretty low. His non-penalty expected goals per shot is just okay. His self-created shot percentage is low. Successful dribbles low. Open play shots created not that high. So on, so on, so on. And the thing about all of those things is that if this number is high and this number is high, none of the other numbers matter. And the two that I'm pointing at there are shots and non-penalty expected goals. It's great. Like, if you care that his self-created shot percentage is low, the thing I would say to you is, like, he's going to a team who creates lots of shots. Like, his job is not going to be to create shots for himself. If you look at his open play shots created for others, I would say a lot of that is because United sucked terribly last year. It was pretty good the season before that. And even with his low volume of shots created, his XA is about average. It's not that big a deal. The turnovers, about zero. About average in terms of turnover count. About average in terms of defensive activity. Those things are great. What does he do really well? The dude takes a ton of shots and he dribbles the ball into the box. He runs in behind, he shoots, he gets into the box. And we will go back to our old friend, Billy Bean from Moneyball. Why do we like this player? Because he gets on base. In this case, for attacking players, we like this player because he gets in the box. If you compare Alejandro Garnacho's shot map over 3 seasons compared to Jamie Gittins over 3 seasons, a very reasonable comparison. What do you see? Okay, Garnacho played 50% more minutes. He took almost twice as many shots. Okay, that's pretty good. Not twice as many. That's a bit of a boost, but he took considerably more shots. And then you say, okay, what about the locations of the shots? And there's just not a lot of waste in Garnacho's game. He is not taking a whole bunch of garbage shots from distance. Now, is there a bunch of stuff in here, like on this left edge, that we would like to cut out? Yes. Is there a decent number of stuff in here that gets blocked that we would love to cut out? Also, yes. However, is there a really high amount of like good stuff in here? Absolutely. And when you think about his shot map and you compare him to other attacking players, like you have to clock that, okay, yeah, there's not a ton of red and orange, the really, really high XG stuff in here. And the reason for that is that United are terrible. For basically the whole time he's been at United, they have not been good. The opportunity for high quality chances, again, this is not a guy creating chances for himself on the ball. He's moving off the ball. Like, United have had one plus passer at the entire club the whole time he has been there in Bruno Fernandes. They have not employed at the club of Manchester United a single other player that you would say that guy creates chances in 4 seasons or 3 seasons. So when you look at that and you say, okay, you also don't get to play in the transition mess that is the Bundesliga, that's a really nice shot map. With that volume, with that shot quality, like you're really happy with that as a baseline for an attacking player. He's pretty one-footed. It's mostly with his right foot. There's a decent amount of transition stuff here. The blocked percentage is a little bit high, particularly when he cuts in off the left. You can definitely trim some of the fat in here. Like, if he comes to Chelsea, I would like to see him go from 3.5 shots a game to like high 2s. But you cut out a bunch of this garbage and exchange this for some of the cutbacks or for a little bit more aggressive choices in terms of driving towards the middle of the pitch. Like, I think that's a thing that could realistically happen for his game. But you look at it and like, you're really, really happy if that's the output you get from this sort of player. And so what do we see in the video on the shooting? Well, see a couple things. One, he's very diligent about getting to the back post to attack crosses. Here he is arriving. It's a decent chance, doesn't score, no problem. Here he is arriving again, decent chance, good save. Here he is again, arrives, scores this time. Like, his ability to run along the line and then attack the back post is so good. You think about the goal that Chelsea scored, the first goal they score, second goal they score against West Ham on Friday. It is Pedro Neto runs along the line to the back post and arrives to score. That is a movement that Chelsea's wingers were not particularly fond of last year. Nani Madueke was the only winger who really arrived at the back post to score easy goals at the back post. And the way Chelsea attack by putting 5 and 6 players on the last line and getting 5 and 6 players in the box when the ball is in wide areas means you are going to have situations where actually it is crucial that the winger arrives to this pocket here at the back post inside the 6-yard box. And so when you look at Garnacho having all of these arrivals, like 8-10 yards out, back post, back post, back post, back post, that is so valuable. And that's the thing we see in the video as well, that like he will arrive, he will get there very consistently. This one is one of my favorite clips because like, look how far out, look how far away he is, but also look how quickly he clocks. Like, oh, I got to get there. Dalot doesn't even have the ball yet, and he is sprinting already to arrive at the back post. He is already there, and now there's no way James Justin gets there. Great goal. Like, that is a moment you look at and you compare it to last season. You compare it to Pedro Neto. Like, this ball gets to Dalot, and like they are on the other side standing there waiting. They have not gone yet. And he only gets there because he starts sprinting so early. And that is tremendously valuable to arrive at the back post. Also, the kid can like shoot a ball. If you look at like the XG stuff, he's either average or slightly behind average. I don't think there's much there in terms of signal. Like, I think he's a fine shooter. Now, the thing he does to like a plus level, and presumably you look at the business Chelsea are doing, Nico Jackson is probably going to go. They have added Estevao. and Jamie Gittins, who, while Estevao's movement is quite good, both of them are primarily ball to feet wingers. The thing Garnacho does is like he is a Pedro regen. Like he is Pedro Rodriguez, former Barcelona and Chelsea winger who played with Messi. He is that guy. He's just so good running in behind. Diagonal movement, split two guys, breakaway, scuffs the breakaway. Diagonal movement, in behind, great chance. Diagonal movement, in behind, scores a goal. Like diagonal movement, in behind the fullback, great run in behind, pretty good chance. Run along the line, in behind, pretty good chance. Along the line, in behind, pretty good chance. Like I promise you, this video is like a minute and 12. The original long list of clips, to pull the curtain back of how I do this, is I go and I watch every single shot this player takes for 2 seasons, and then I trim it down. The original long list of clips for runs in behind and gets a very good shot, the original long list of that set of clips was 9 minutes long. And I could have sat here for 9 minutes and been like, look at the movement in behind. He's gone in behind. Here's another great chance. Here's another move. Like, he is just relentless with his movement in behind. And like, does he flub some of the chances? Yeah, probably. Am I worried about that? No. Am I much more excited about the fact that he's just going to keep zooming in behind and keep arriving at the back post and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it? I think that is more valuable to you. And if you think about Jackson going, like, the wingers are ball to feet. João Pedro is a decent mix of in behind and ball to feet. Delap is like only in behind, but he's not amazing at it because he's not that quick. And he's more in to out, right? Like striker to channel spaces. Whereas Garnacho is out to in, wide spaces into the middle. Like, one of the things you look at when you have a team that has as much passing as Chelsea does. Chelsea have a lot of passing. All of their defenders can pass. All of their midfielders can pass. All of their attackers can also pass. Like even Pedro Neto, who I don't love, the kid, like he actually can pass. Like there's João Pedro, very creative for a night. Like there is a lot of, if Jackson plays, Jackson's creative. There's a whole lot of passing across the whole team. When you have sufficient passing, there's only one ball. So if you play a bunch of guys who are like, I get the ball and then I pass it, and then you get the ball and you pass it, and then you get the ball and you pass it, all of a sudden, like the gains of each of those players' passing talent is reduced because they're not passing it to players in better positions. And when you think about the value here, like Garnacho doesn't need the ball. You will see in the data, one of the things that really pops for Garnacho is, and I'll come back, he is not a high usage player. He is 40th percentile for touches. He does not touch the ball in build up. He's like, get away from me. I'm going to go run for a breakaway and you give it to me or you don't give it to me, and that's okay. And that's the thing that you want, is you want the off-ball guys when you have all the passers. And if you lose Jackson, you lose a lot of off-ball, and I think the off-ball is very valuable. Now, overall, holistic picture, Davies really likes him, both in terms of the season and per 90. His numbers were a little bit better last season than they were this season. And when he was even younger than that, he looked really good because at 17, 18 years old, he looked like a Premier League average winger. That is very rare that you get someone at that level. Now, the thing that is most interesting to me is that he is almost entirely an off-ball threat in these numbers. But if you look at his age 18 season, 4 players, top 5 leagues, similar roles. So no strikers, only wingers and 10s across the 3 broad roles, creator, dribbler, finisher. There has never been a better 18-year-old season in the Davies database. The only one better, I think, was Mbappe, who was considered a striker in this metric. So, like, it's him, and I think it's Saka is the guy below him. Like, stupidly good. He's in this like second group, age 19. He's like in the same spot, age 20. A lot of that is to do with United being stinky. And he's an off-ball guy, so if you can't pass it to him, it doesn't pop. But again, you look at the value. It is all box activity. It is all shooting, which is the positions he gets in to shoot. Tremendously valuable. Now, the big question is like, okay, great. You run off the ball. That's amazing. But like, you cannot just be entirely an off the ball guy in every game, is what people would say. I would make the argument actually that Chelsea have enough passing. They can always play someone whose only job is like, I just finish moves. I get off, I run off the ball and that's it. I do nothing else. But most people would not agree with that. So what do we see in terms of the creative stuff, in terms of the passing stuff? And there's a couple things. One, in the dribbling data, his take-ons are not super high, and his success rate is very low. He has tackled a lot in those situations. Now, what I would caution you, as someone looking and engaging with the dribbling data, is that the way success is defined in the take-on data is very wishy-washy in terms of, did you get past the guy? Did you maintain the ball? And you will see, and I will show you in the clips, a bunch of situations that are called failed take-ons that are a cutback to an open Manchester United player on the 6-yard box. So you have to be careful. As a passer, there's not a whole lot of passing into the box. If you look at the pass maps, not a whole lot of passing into the box. But the thing that does pop pretty consistently is there's a whole lot of cutbacks and cutbacks attempted. There's Dimitri's cutback filter here is like not popping up correctly for some reason. It's only showing 6, but he actually has something like 25 by maybe a slightly different metric. But passes you would call cutbacks. And it's just like he is playing slips to overlaps and he is playing cutbacks to shooters, and like there's not a whole lot else there. He's definitely not doing you ball progression stuff. That is definitely not the thing he does as a player. He will do progression dribbling, progression carrying, which is useful, but it can be somewhat overrated. But the big thing for him as a dribbler is like he is going to take the ball from the wide area when it comes to his feet, usually off of a run in behind, and he's going to get that into the box, and he's either going to shoot or he's going to cut it back. And that's the thing. That's the thing. And, one of the things that I quite like about carries versus dribbles, particularly in the final third, is that in the middle third and in the first third, like teams can defend in such a way that you can rack up progressive actions in terms of carries very easily. In the final third, it is very hard to generate progressive actions. You are much closer to the goal. Defenses are much more jammed, all of those things. When you look at Garnacho, what pops, and the fact that it's carries, not dribbles, is that carries are uncontested. So for you to get the ball into the penalty area via carry means you have found yourself enough space in the final third that you can both receive the ball and then when you receive it, go into the box before a defender comes to challenge you. Think about what that means for a second. If you sit super wide, it is very easy for you to receive progressive passes in the final third. You go stand as wide as possible, and you get a straight line pass from your fullback, and then you turn around and you pass it backwards, and you say, thank you, sir, I got one more progressive pass received. But if you are then think about this for a moment, you take a pass in a wide area, and you are then able to immediately carry that ball into the box. Something about your movement has created enough space for you to get free and get into the box. That is tremendously valuable. We go back to Billy Bean. We like dudes who get into the box. What does that look like on video? First off, the crossing is actually pretty good. He cuts into his right foot. He can play the curler to the back post. Chelsea very much have this from the right-hand side of the pitch with Estevao or Neto. We've seen already goals from that. Cole Palmer. Gittins can do it. It's one of the things we flagged in the video. It's not super common, but it's there. Garnacho can do it. Like legit, the weight is good, the timing is good. His release in term and like trajectory, like they're not loopy. They're pretty flat. Like it's a good one to be with. Now, the thing he does as a passer that you're like, yep, give me all of it, is the cutback stuff. Where, like, I think this is a great example of one of these moments where makes a channel run, receives it, he gets immediately into the box. Okay. Now you would look at this situation and say, like, oh, he is going 1v1 against Alex Iwobi. He should be able to go past him here. And instead, he picks out an amazing cutback to a late arriver that turns into like a pretty good chance. That cutback is almost certainly a better chance than the average chance generated from this location, right? Like that would be a positive action to pull that out, especially when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 defenders in the box, 9 with the goalkeeper in the box, and you have 4 attackers. Like it is pretty great to pick out that chance there. Here's another one against Galatasaray where he pulls one back for Højlund. Here's another one against Chelsea where like gets pulled end line. Great cutback for Harry Maguire. Here's another one. This one's one of my favorite ones because you see the defending stuff where like he is pressing in a front two and is able to pick a pass into midfield, and not only pick a pass into midfield, turn this into where he is 1v3 with the 4th defender coming into high quality shot, Marcus Rashford, United score. Here's another one against the wide defender. I think this is against Burnley. This is one of the examples I'm talking about where like this is recorded as a failed dribble. Oh, not this one. Sorry. This one he actually does rinse the guy. That was a bad example. He goes past the fullback and again gets the goal line, cut back, huge chance. Like, yeah, that's sorry that didn't go in. That's your fault, Garnacho. Here's another one, wide area, presence of mind, picks his head up. There's no way I can find Højlund here for the square. I'll delay, cut back, Bruno Fernandes, I think, or Mason Mount, big chance. Run in behind. Here's another one, cut back, pick a guy out, 1v4 in the box. We get a huge chance out of it. This is the one that I was talking about. Garnacho is 1v1 against Konate. He is engaging him in a 1v1. He takes a touch to the line, plays a cutback, Amad Diallo arrives to score. Because this cutback, because he does not go past Konate, this dribble is considered not a successful dribble in the metrics. It is a dribble attempted type 0 or whatever. He does not get a successful dribble for this dribble attempt, despite the fact that he works the space, cut back, and they score, and all those things are amazing. That is a failed dribble or it is rather, I should specify, it is a not successful dribble because there are degrees of failure in here, right? So keep that in mind in the dribbling. Here's another one. Cut back, like that doesn't go in. Like where is his fault in here? The guy just pulls out every cutback, doesn't matter, finds guys in the box, left foot, right foot, doesn't matter. So that stuff I think is very, very real. The cutback is super, super, super strong. He is not playing like deft through walls. There are some slips for overlaps, but they're not really that useful. And it's more like you have a wing back. I hope you're going to do that. But the cutbacks are real. Like he can actually like take it. It's very Jadon Sancho, right? Where one of the things that I worried Chelsea would lose with no Sancho this year is that Sancho was pretty good about getting into the box and he wasn't great at going past guys, but then he would get there and he would pick a pass that ended up being a pretty good shot. Sancho's creative numbers were actually quite good last year. Garnacho is similar. He is not nearly as clean, but there is a similar quality to his game where he's like, I am stuck and I will now find the pass that I want to play. So what does this mean for it as a deal? Okay. So I think one of the big things that stands out here, and this has happened with Chelsea all summer, is the market opportunity thing. If you look at every player to have as many goals as Alejandro Garnacho before they turn 21, Okay. Now this list is non-strikers from 2015, so last 10 years. You can expand the list. You can do whatever you want. I think in the Premier League, he's the 21st highest scorer of under 21 players. Top 5 leagues, he's obviously lower than that because there's 5 leagues, but you can pick the dates ever you want. But if you look at all the players ahead of him, what you see is that basically every single one of those players moved for considerably more money than Alejandro Garnacho is moving for, or is worth more than that. Kylian Mbappe, huge fee. Sancho, huge fee. Havertz, huge fee. Musiala hasn't moved, but would be a huge fee. Verts, huge fee. Ansu Fati, at his peak, worth a lot, has been injured a lot. Timo Werner, big fee. Mason Greenwood moves for a pretty big fee, despite the fact that United probably should have had to cut him given what happened in his personal life. Ousmane Dembele, huge fee. Anthony Martial, huge fee. Bukayo Saka would be a huge fee. Rashford would have been a huge fee if they sold him at his peak. Oyarzabal also has not moved, is still a very reasonable contributor for Sociedad. So you look at it at 40 million euros, 35 million pounds, and like there's just no way you're going to lose money on this, even if it doesn't work out for you. His wages are not that high. The fee is very reasonable. I would have loved the world where Chelsea turned this into a loan with an obligation and then a money, like a get out clause, the way they did with Sancho, and then you get to try, and if it doesn't work, you lose actually nothing. But I think there's very, very little risk here. Garnacho's club trained or is nation trained in England because he's been at United for so long. Like that's tremendously valuable for you as for registration purposes. Like it makes it much easier to sell on. I think there's very, very little downside in this deal as it's currently constructed. He's not on huge wages at United. Like it's very easy. And so the question comes to it is like, should you sign Garnacho or Simons or both or do nothing? Or like, what do you do here? And I think the question is ultimately, do you want to index on passing or do you want to index on off ball movement? The Transfer Flow talked about this on their podcast today, and both of the gentlemen on the podcast said like, if you get Simons, he's a ready-made Palmer backup. He gives you a lot more passing. Chelsea have slowly turned into a like pin teams in team. Is that going to be difficult for Garnacho to make movements in behind when there's no space to get there versus Simons, who is probably more suited to break down low blocks? Or do you index on the off-ball movement and say you have enough passing, you need guys to receive the passes, you need guys to make the runs off the ball? And if you look at like progressive numbers in terms of off-ball movement, like Garnacho is consistently one of the most dangerous off-ball movers in Europe, despite United being abject. And if we're going to talk about Liam Delap scaling up to a better team, and we're going to talk about João Pedro scaling up to a better team. We're going to talk about Gitten scaling up to a better team. Like, if Garnacho scales up from the mess that is United, like he's going to be 10 league goals, which is a no-brainer at that point. Like this guy scored 6 for United last year, and United were, again, abject, and he only played 25-90. So I think for the question for you is, do you want to index on the passing or do you want to index on the off-ball movement? To me, I lean off-ball movement. I think it's the most underrated skill in the game. I think it's the single most important skill in the game. Like, it's super, super valuable. And so I would go between the two. I would only do Garnacho. I would not do Simons. I have enough league translation questions about Simons. I think his wages are much higher. I think the fee is considerably higher. It makes me nervous. And I think you can get enough of what he does out of other players in the squad. I don't think that is the case for Garnacho. I don't think you have his profile in the attacking band. Except for one Tyreek George, who I think long-term will look fairly similar to Garnacho as a shooting wide forward who makes runs in behind and get shots. Like, I think that's the thing that Tyreek George will do. I think Tyreek George will be a significantly better passer than Garnacho. But I also don't think he has, at current the athletic ability to create separation with movement and behind. I think he is kind of slow, which is a weird thing to say. He's not slow, but he does not create the space with his movement the way you would expect. And if I was to go show more Fabrizio Romano tweets, you see things like Chelsea want £25 million for him to go to Roma. I think that would be a reasonable deal. I think you protect yourself with a sell on, perhaps a buyback. To me, the place that I get to in relation to Tyreek George is that he is far enough away. I think the gap between him and someone like Garnacho is big enough right now that I would not worry about bringing Garnacho for him. However, the point that I would probably make is if Tyreek George plays one really good loan season, whether that's Italy or Germany or wherever you go, how far away is he then from Garnacho, and how far away is he then from Jamie Giddens? And to me, the answer to that question is probably not very. And in that case, you are probably going to wish you hung on to him and then sold him, or hung on to him and then moved on one of the other guys, or hung on to him and then moved on. Like, whatever you choose to do in that universe, I think it's reasonable. Because I think you're going to come to a place where Chelsea next summer are going to move a winger out no matter what, with Giovanni Kenda and with whatever happens with all the wingers you have here. I think that's going to happen. I would not be mad about them just cutting out a little bit of room for Tyreek George to figure this out. But we'll see. We'll see. So I would say I'd probably just get Garnacho and not do Simons. I would probably loan Tyreek George. I would use the international loan slot for him. I think that's fine. I'm not really worried about the other stuff there. You can figure it out with the other players. But of course, if you keep Jackson, like, there's some duplicative skills with Garnacho, like that changes things as well. I think there are a lot of balls to juggle here, and I think it's not the most straightforward decision in the world. So we will see how the window closes. There are a few days left, and we will find out. I'm curious what you think. Leave a comment or tweet me or whatever who you would sign and what you would do with Tyreek George in this situation. But that's going to be it for me. If you like the podcast, retweet it, share it, like it, rate it 5 stars on whatever podcast app you have, all those sorts of things. Allegedly, leaving a review on the podcast sites helps a lot. And subscribe and share and whatever on YouTube, all those things. But as always, most importantly, enjoy the soccer.